Perfect. Beautiful. Welcome back, everybody. Another talking head video coming at you today on another problem that I've got that I think a lot of people have. I've talked to a lot of friends about it, and we're going to discuss that today, and we're just going to see kind of where it leads. It's just going to be a little one-take video action here. And the problem that I've got that I've discussed with several friends of mine, and they all agree they've got a similar problem, not in, to varying degrees for sure. But that problem is saying no when it's the right thing to do. And I had a situation last week, which I'll get into here in just a second. But basically, being able to say no to stuff that you shouldn't be doing and let me start that over. Not being able to say no when you should be saying no, whether that's because you don't have enough time on your hands and you're like, oh man, I feel bad somebody's asking me about this, so I'm just going to do it. And then you end up taking on that task and you can't get it done in time, or you can't get it done right, or whatever it is because you didn't say no, or you were worried about, the opinions of other people if you'd said no to this. And it's not like I don't have a problem saying no to friends and family or anything like that. Like if I can't do something, my buddies or my family, they understand. They're not mad about it. You're just like, dude, I can't do that right now, man. Like I'm too busy, or I don't have time, or I don't know how to do that, and being able to tell my close friends and family no, like that's not a problem. But when it comes to my customers, I tend to have a harder time doing that. And I think in the back of my head, it's about protecting my reputation that I've worked really hard to build. My reputation of doing good work, doing quality work, doing quick work, doing it all for competitive prices, fair prices, and all that stuff. And, if somebody comes to me, the last thing I want to do is give them the impression that like they're not worth my time, or their project isn't worth my time, or they're not willing to spend enough money on it and stuff. And so I've in the past, just kind of said yes to some stuff that I shouldn't have said yes to. I should have just said, sir, ma'am, I understand what you're trying to get done here. It's not you're not going to get the best result if you come through me, and handling it more politically like that, more diplomatically. And instead what I've done is basically say like, oh, I'll do it. And then I'm mad at myself for not have been able to say no, when the time, was appropriate to say no. And then the whole time I'm working on that project for that customer, I'm mad at myself, and I'm also mad at the customer. And so the story that happened last week was, a customer came in, and for those that don't know, my day job is paintless dent repair. And this guy's car, and so basically what that means is we fix hail damage on cars, door dings, bigger dents, just kind of anything where I don't need to do traditional body work like sanding and repainting and replacing panels and stuff like that. I fix dents without having to repaint them, basically, for those that are unfamiliar with the industry. And a customer came in with a vehicle that was just absolutely destroyed from hail damage. I mean, it looked like it had been through 3 or 4 hailstorms. It was not something that should even remotely be in a paintless dent repair shop. I mean, you're talking about over 200 dents just on the hood of a car, maybe even more than that. And I mean, we make jokes in this business all the time about cars looking like golf balls after they've been through a bad hailstorm. But this was like a golf ball in the sense that, a golf ball, in fact, I have one right here. There's no surface area on this golf ball that isn't dimpled. And that's exactly how this vehicle was. I mean, there was not a single area that wasn't not dented, that wasn't dented. And it's something that I can't take on just because it's just too far gone and my price would be too high compared to a replacement panel, et cetera, et cetera. And the customer was not really understanding of that in terms of like what he was asking me to do and for the price he was asking me to do it. And I told him I couldn't do it for that price. I couldn't do it for, all these other prices. I felt that the panels needed to be replaced, that was going to be the better repair than paintless dent repair. It was going to be more expensive to do paintless dent repair than replace the panels. And the whole time, and I understood what was going on. I've been in sales long enough to know how to control a conversation and when somebody is trying to control the conversation. And that was very clearly happening here. And it was really, I think this guy knew what he was doing. So I was already upset about the interaction while it was happening. And because I felt, my reputation may have been at stake, that it was difficult for me to just say, no, I can't help you. Here's your keys. Good luck. I can refer you to these body shops, whatever it is, they can help you. And instead I said, well, I tell you what, let me just try working on a section of this to see how it's repairing. And if it is repairing, then we'll go from there and we'll discuss price. And if not, then I'll just have you come pick up the vehicle. And so I do that, and I'm immediately furious with myself, and I'm mad just at the overall interaction. And I was talking to some friends about it. I was talking to my fiance about it. And thankfully what ended up happening was this customer decided on his own that the price he was willing to pay was even too high. And that price was maybe 15% of the actual value of the repair job. Which I mean, I understand people are working on different budgets and stuff, but you can't go into a Rolex dealer and ask for a $20,000 Rolex for $3,000. Like, it just doesn't work like that. And that's kind of what was happening here. And, just for whatever reason, it was hard for me to say no. And so I called some buddies and I talked to them about it. And they were like, man, I'm literally in the middle of the same thing right now. Or I literally just dealt with that last week. Or I get a guy like that every, once a month or whatever it is, where, they think that one thing is possible and it's not. And you want to maintain your reputation and you want to try and help every customer that you can. But some of them we just got to let go. And so for me personally, what I'm working on is, how am I, what's the best way to go about that? And I've just decided that I'm going to write down, and I've already written down kind of a script to practice with, more or less, on my own, for when I get situations like this, that like a diplomatic no is the right response. And like, here's a blank outline in my head or a template that I can follow that will come across as me being polite and helpful, but also not willing to get taken advantage of, because it's no way to run a business. You can't let people take advantage of you and destroy your profit margins and stuff. I mean, it's just not worth it. It's not worth your time, your effort, anything like that, when you've got somebody that's not willing to pay to play the game. And like I said, I understand that everybody's in a different spot when it comes to their finances and what they're willing to pay for, certain things. But like I said, you can't go into some place when there's a set, like, nobody's ever arguing with a doctor about how much it's going to cost to do a surgery, right? It's just, okay, do the surgery. And I understand that insurance usually pays for stuff like that, but that's the same thing with my business. I mean, insurance typically pays for these types of repairs that we do. So to come in and try and, strong arm a deal or something like that, like, people just shouldn't be doing that in general, although I understand that it happens. But B, as business owners, or as people, you can't let people walk all over you. I mean, that's just no way to live a life. I mean, nice guys tend to finish last, not first. And as much as as much as I want to be a nice guy, and I am a nice guy, I have a fantastic reputation in the community. My customers love our business here. They always feel like they're treated exceptionally well and fairly, and with an open and transparent interaction. So much stuff in the automotive world is, kind of outside of your typical customer's knowledge base. Like, they don't really understand how an engine works or what type of filter is what. And so, it's that classic example of you go in for an oil change and you think it's going to be $60, and all of a sudden they come out and they tell you, oh, there's $500-$600 worth of issues that need to be fixed immediately. And you're sitting here going, well, is this BS or is this real? But I don't know anything about engines, and therefore I don't know if I'm getting taken for a ride or not. Now, thankfully, that stuff doesn't really happen that much anymore, but there's a reason that reputation of the car business exists, and it's because that's how things used to operate. I mean, there's been slime balls in this business since this business began, whether it's the dealer, the service technicians, tire shops, like anything like that. Like, back in the day, like, people were getting ripped off left and right, and it created this reputation of like a shady environment or industry to be in. And so I do my best to not let that happen with my customers. And I'm very transparent with them. I let them know exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what needs to happen to repair this, why I'm going to do it a certain way. And I kind of try and educate my customers along the way. And that gives me the reputation that I have of being a very helpful individual, and also, making them feel like they're getting fair treatment. They understand the process and everything. And so when I'm saying no to somebody, it kind of feels like, I'm giving them the other side of this, not that really friendly and making them feel good, vibes that I try to give off here. And I just think it's really important, though, to know your value, know your worth, know when the right time is to say no, and you've gotta just maintain the backbone and stick to your ground, stick to your guns, whatever the saying is, hold your ground, and you gotta just politely educate them on how this isn't gonna work, how we're not gonna be a good fit for each other. And in this particular situation, I was allowing the conversation to be controlled by somebody that didn't understand what I was trying to impart on them. And either they understood it and they didn't care, which makes me mad, or they didn't understand it, and that's why I took the job on initially. Now, this customer ended up calling me back and saying that, they didn't end up wanting to sink that much money into it anyway. So we ended up parting ways, and at the end of the day, it all worked out. But it could have not, and it could have ended up a really bad situation. And so you just got to know the boundaries. You got to know what you can take on respectfully, and there's respectful ways to handle it. And I know there are, but you get caught up in the moment. And if you don't practice things, then you don't know what to do when the time comes. It's that saying, proper planning prevents poor performance, right? And I mean, back when I was doing car sales, I would practice interactions in my car on the way to and from the dealership that I was working at. I would literally sit there in my car driving in on the morning and do a mock conversation in my head or out loud, so that when I was in the conversation, I had avenues to go. It's the same reason that athletes practice. It's the same reason that musicians practice. Is so when you're on stage or when you're on the court or the field and somebody throws you the ball, you know what to do with it. You know where your opponents are coming from, or if you don't know where they're coming from, you can very quickly analyze the situation and say, okay, I need to either follow route A, B, or C here. And because I've spent the last, however many months or years or your lifetime practicing that, you know exactly which route you're going to run just based on a quick second like that. And so that's why I'm writing down the script and have written down the script more or less already of, okay, if somebody's coming in and they're trying to strong arm or they're trying to get me to do something that I know isn't going to work out, or whatever the case may be, I've now got in my head and will further instill this by practicing just on my own. Okay, what are the right things to say here? How am I going to navigate my way out of this, corner or this little tricky spot that I've just been put in, and make sure that I'm maintaining my value and my reputation at the same time. And by giving yourself a script on how to do that, it's much easier for you to overcome these obstacles and objections that are put in front of you. And I think with enough practice, I'll be able to just, riddle this off the top of my head, just like I do when I'm selling customers on jobs, or, if I'm doing any sort of sales or anything like that. My brain knows exactly what to say when somebody says X, Y, or Z, and I'm going to respond with A, B, and C. Did I say X, Y, or C? Z? Whatever it is. So that's my problem. My problem was saying no, and my solution to that, let's just recap everything. What's my problem? My problem is I have a hard time saying no to things that I should be saying no to. What's the solution to that problem? Well, let's make a script and throw out a bunch of scenarios of when I should be saying no and how to say it in a polite, diplomatic way that the customer is going to feel like I'm not taking them for a ride, or that they're wasting my time or something. But, let's look at what they're throwing at us. What are the scenarios? It's scenario X, Y, and Z. Okay, what are my responses? My responses are A, B, and C. And then here I'm going to bridge it from not only here's my responses, but here's my potential solutions for you. Here's what I can recommend. Here's who I can refer. Here's what I can tell you about what I would do in your situation. And that's why the script is necessary, to practice that, so that when I'm in those situations, I can handle it. So the problem, saying no, the solution, let's come up with a script. Let's practice it. We'll execute it in real life, and there should hopefully be no more problems. I'm sure there will be. There's always problems with running a business, or with, anytime you're dealing with people, things happen. And the best thing you can do is understand that things happen and have solutions for them. And how do you have solutions? You're prepared. You're knowledgeable. And what makes you prepared and knowledgeable? Doing your homework, doing your research, doing your practice. Whether that's, like I said, you're an athlete, you stay late after practice and you practice more free throws, or you practice more batting practice, or I don't know what football players do to practice stuff. I guess, running drills or something like that. I don't know. If you're a musician, you're staying up late. You're just running through the chords. You're getting the fundamentals down. You're learning how to riff. If you're a teacher, and you've got, potentially problem kids in your class, or whatever. Well, how are you going to do that? Let's learn the best way to connect with this student on their level, so that we can connect with them, and then maybe they'll start listening to us and respecting us more, and you go from there. So whatever it is in your life, your problems, identify that problem and come up with a solution, and then see it through. And so that's exactly what we're going to do here. We've identified a problem, having trouble saying no. We've come up with a solution, and we're going to see it through. And that's the best way in life, I think, to move forward, to continue learning and growing as a person, is analyzing what you're not good at, working towards it, knowing what you're good at, perfecting it. And that's the journey of life, my friends. So that's all we got coming at you today. Just a quick one-take video, like I said. And yeah, hope everybody's having a great day. Spring is here. It's getting nicer out up here in Colorado, and I'm sure we'll see a spring, summer, or spring snowstorm, something like that here sometime soon. But overall, it's nice. I'm happy. I'm in a good mood. And I've decided that I think I'm going to try and make Tuesdays a video like this, these one-take videos, talking heads, of me just discussing my thoughts on something, whether it's a business thing, a personal thing. I try not to get into any sort of political stuff on this channel here. I don't want to I don't want people to feel like they have to take sides either with or against me. So I just like to talk about self-improvement stuff, business improvement stuff on these talking head videos. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Kind of the first half of the week is a video like this. And then the second half of the week, we're going to do more of our classic build videos, whether that's the algae build series or when the weather finally decides to stay nice. That'll be restoring the sailboat. Anything else we decide to build, any home improvement stuff I do on my new house that I'm moving into in a couple weeks. So yeah, that's the game plan. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Hopefully you're having a good day, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Also be sure to like and subscribe.